Ready? Try centering yourself a little more.
Wait. There we go.
All right. Hold on. Let me hit the start button. Ready? We're going. Hi, everyone. It's Julie Boudwin with TigerDetails TV, joined here by David Folse, an insider on the LSU baseball beat. David, obviously some huge news out of Baton Rouge today, kind of shaking things up in the college baseball world. So go ahead and just kind of give us the rundown of what went on in Baton Rouge today.
Well, Julie, first, thank you for having me on. It's a big day. It's the first time in almost 2 decades that LSU is going to be looking for a new head baseball coach as Paul Mainieri announces his retirement. You know, there's not much there's so much you could say. We could go on for hours and days about Paul Mainieri. You're talking about somebody who revived the program after Smoke Laval. You know, so many people are going to think 20 years from now that Paul Mainieri is the one who replaced, Skip Bertman. It went Skip Bertman to Paul Mainieri, but it really didn't. He took over a program that he had to basically start and build from scratch again. And, 2009, they won a national championship. 2017, they played for another. So many national seeds, the second winningest coach in the history of the sport at LSU, over 1,500 wins. He's a Hall of Famer. But, the only person who's ever been undefeated in life is Father Time. And it's starting to catch up with Paul Mainieri. It's just time. There's no other way to say it. He's still one of the top coaches, but he's going through some health issues. The program has struggled, and it's just time to kind of just pass off the torch. And he knows that. And rather than stay too long, he's going to step away now and allow LSU to come kind of just do its thing and try to continue to build this program to where the fan base wants it to be.
Yeah, I don't think this was a shock by any means. I mean, it's kind of a matter of when, not if. It's kind of what the feeling's been, especially towards the back half of the season. Obviously, we're still waiting for the official announcement. Will they or won't they make it on Monday? Do you feel like that had any kind of impact on this and making this announcement before we find out if the Tigers are in the tournament or not?
I don't really think so, but I think Paul Mainieri wanted to do this now as a way to make sure it doesn't. To where he doesn't want to use it as an excuse. So, right. In the release from the school that said he will coach no matter what happens in the postseason. So now we're in a Mike Martin situation of it's his last year. 2 years ago, LSU dealt with this, and Florida State went from an unseeded team going to Omaha. So whoever knows what could happen. But I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think it's just he knew the time was now, and he didn't want to put this on added pressure of his team.
Right. That makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, you don't want people thinking it's because of the on-field performance this year if they don't make the tournament and that sort of stuff. So I get wanting to get it out of the way, and whatever happens on Monday happens on Monday. But let's look ahead. I mean, obviously 15 amazing years at LSU. I mean, it's going to go down as one of the best in Baton Rouge. But looking forward, let's talk some top candidates. You dropped some insider information on our message board and on our site earlier today. Let's flesh out a couple of candidates that you're hearing.
Well, first off, let's get the ones that aren't going to happen. LSU fan base, is very exciting and, is very passionate. But Tim Corbin, not happening. Kevin O'Sullivan, not happening. Dan McDonnell, not happening. This is going to come down to 2 names. This is going to come down to Schlossnagle at TCU and Cliff Godwin at East Carolina. Both are extremely interested in the job, have reached out to LSU way before the Mainieri retirement news went out, because when it was kind of like the best, a really good unknown secret, but it was everybody in the know knew. They both reached out, and they got as far with some of them by saying, hey, this is what my staff would be, those kind of things. Texas A&M is throwing around crazy monopoly money right now for things. So LSU wanted to get in on running on this because Texas A&M is the only SEC school that has an opening. So you don't want to be, musical chairs when the music stops kind of situation. Yeah. So it's Schlossnagle and it's Godwin. And if either of those don't happen and this becomes a Texas situation, you could pay attention to a Jake Gotro at Mississippi State, or even a Nolan Kane at, who's currently on staff. But it's Schlossnagle and Godwin. Those are the only two names you need to pay attention to.
Do you feel like this is going to happen relatively quickly, or are we going to see this play out and after the tournament?
I think it will happen relatively quickly, even if it's not announced quickly, because of what A&M has. A&M's not making the tournament, so A&M can announce their decision tomorrow. And, if LSU wants to, beat them to the punch with one of these two candidates, they can have a gentleman's agreement to where we'll announce it at the end of the tournament, because both their schools are set to make the tournament. So you're not going to have Godwin come out tomorrow and celebrate winning the conference tournament and going and then saying, oh yeah, by the way, I'm coming to be the coach at LSU. But there could be a gentleman's agreement to get that done. I think it'll be done by the end of this week, to be honest with you, when you talk to sources close to the program.
Right, whether that's public or behind the scenes, that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, there's other schools in play, other coaches in play, so that makes sense. Do you get the feel? And let me just say, for those watching, if you hear dogs in the background, I apologize. Do you get a sense, maybe, or have you had conversation with any LSU fans, or maybe on the message boards or on social media? Is there a sense of like which of those two you think fans would prefer? Not necessarily that it matters to Scott Woodward or anything, but
I don't really know, because I can make cases against both of them, Julie, because you're going to have some people who are, I don't want anything to do with Paul Mainieri. And Godwin was the hitting coach when Paul Mainieri won a national title in 2009. So there's the Mainieri connection with Godwin. So, and then there's the Schlossnagle. Oh, well, he was at Tulane, all that kind of stuff. So I would say it's probably, the fan bases would probably say 60-40, maybe Godwin, just because he's familiar. And Schlossnagle is a Big 12 guy. And we, SEC baseball fans don't really pay attention a lot to the Big 12. But both coaches would be an outstanding fit because, Julie, they breathe some life into the program. The program, for as much as LSU fans want to believe it's still the premier program in the country, it's one of the premier programs, and if done right, it can be dominant again. But the program just has become stagnant. It's running around just in a circle. It's not going forward. It's not going backwards, but it's just kind of running around in a circle while everybody else is going forward. There's facility improvement. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Your facility improvements.
Right. Facility improvements need to be made. Just overall, just breathing life into the stadium. Alex Box Stadium is not one of the best stadiums in the country anymore. It just simply isn't. When you have schools like Oklahoma State dropping $65 million into a brand new stadium, Kevin O'Sullivan at Florida just got a brand new $60 million stadium. People talk about the arms race in college football. The arms race in college baseball is getting pretty close.
Right. Before I let you go, let's talk about something that could help move the program towards the future in the right direction, I guess you would say, is some of these commitments and targets for these upcoming classes. What's the latest? What are you hearing? I know you've been all over this as far as like, what is this going to do to recruiting as far as Paul leaving Baton Rouge?
Well, the class of 2021 is locked in. So they've signed their national letters of intent. But of course, the big thing, Julie, you deal with this a ton with the transfer portal with football. That same holds true for baseball. So all these kids could be out. They could ask for their release and be out. But so far, I've talked to Gavin Guidry, who's the stud of the 2022 class, the infielder from Barb. He's still in. Jared Jones, the catcher, 2022 wise, from Georgia. He's still in. Josh Pearson, the infielder from West Monroe, 2021 shortstop. He's still in. So as I start getting names, and you can check out our message board, we'll have a running tab of everybody who's in or who's out or who's I got to think about it. We will. I have a list of everybody, so we're going to knock them off as quick as we can, and that's what message boards are great for. I can adjust as I go.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, David, for your time. I know you're still busy working the phones, and for those watching, make sure that you subscribe to TigerDetails.com if you haven't already, because David Folse has been all over LSU baseball all season long. And obviously, we're going to keep updating, kind of like you said, with the recruits and who's going, who's staying. You know, you throw in a major coaching change in today's world with the portal, and God knows what's going to happen over the next few weeks and months with the recruiting in Baton Rouge. So he's David Folse. I'm Julie Boudwin. Thanks for watching.
Bye, y'all.